Hey out there in YouTube land, it's Kuda Slayer, aka Daytime Number the Beast, once again. Um, Today I want to do an episode of another discussion from the scrap pile. If you're not familiar with this, basically I kind of keep a little stash of where I keep a lot of the ideas that never I never can get, develop to as far as I would like to. Um, and every now and then I like to go back and just visit them, just to see if there's something new I can add or whatever. Basically, this all kind of stem from this. What I'm going to talk about today stems from an idea when I wanted to kind of really develop an alien setting that would be completely different than what your players expectations or perspective would be. Um, Kind of something that's a little bit more than the what we normally see in science fiction today in most media. Aliens are often just humans with like plastic ridges or paper plates or whatever that's stuck to their heads. I wanted something that would be completely outside the your average players, despite the imagination a lot of players do have. I wanted something that would be kind of even further. So, kind of what I did, I looked around for different environments and such, and I heard about Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, basically being kind of a water world encased in ice. And I thought, well, that's something totally different. I mean, from a perspective of a creature that's living in a world like that, they see the ice and not the stars as we would see, or Jupiter. Most to them that would be the limit of their world. There's kind of nothing known to be known past that, and everything that they would kind of be able to explore and what it would be more directed towards inside the planet. Past the miles and miles of water and the whatever maybe solid core that might exist at the center, or even maybe levels of ice. Might be there's the main ice shell. Then there's the some different levels of ice levels, or maybe even submerged icebergs. So I kind of thought about what kind of creatures might live in it. So I kept coming back to sort of a humanoid, I don't want to use that term, somewhat anthropomorphic, squid or octopus. I actually kind of like the idea of nautilus or animates as the basis, because I kind of like the idea of there being a shell that gives them some kind of protection and maybe even help with buoyancy and such, that the player characters can use in these kind of settings. But I and further on, I kind of thought, well, what kind of societies would these creatures have? Main ones I kind of thought it would be like kind of tribes slash clans that would either maybe stick a claim on a one of these submerged icebergs, or maybe even kind of a get back here. I kind of thought about sort of maybe more mobile tribes might build little homes or whatever, villages on the back of, say, like a combination of a turtle, basking shark, or manta ray, which would be kind of a constantly gliding while it's feeding off plankton in the water, and all these little creatures would live on its back. And there was some inspiration from a short rather old short film called Sky Whales. I should have looked that up, kind of presented, but it's a good little short film. I would suggest you kind of look it up, kind of like I suggest a lot of movies. But I can sort of see some of these tribes being, based around one of these mobile kind of village on the back of these creatures, kind of swimming around. And then there'd be kind of a variation of a kind of predator species, kind of like the Dunkel osteos, which was one of the early bony fish, or sorry, armored fish from the Devonian periods. Basically, the head was kind of armored, and the teeth were actually more like a pair of shears, and how they're working. But the rest of the body would be more flesh-like. I kind of thought maybe combined it with kind of cephalopod, and have it with instead of a tail or fin structure like this, to be siphons that would kind of help it jet through the water. I had all kinds of ideas for other creatures. Yeah, and of course, now you ask how the heck would Mecha come into this? I kind of thought of their Mecha would be more kind of more of a ceremonial, or kind of more of a spiritual role. And of course, being on the water, they couldn't really work metal like we would be able today. So I kind of thought maybe they have a psychic ability, kind of like the Eldar in 440k. They can shape this material they build all their technology out of, called Wraithbone. So I kind of thought, well, what if they took like shells from other creatures, or even the minerals in the water, and just kind of build their own little mecha. And from their perspective, I kind of wondered, would they view shells as living extensions of a creature, or would it be dead? With the kind of the life cycle that many octopus have, they kind of die for after they lay their eggs, and take care of them, they eventually do die. But I kind of wondered, well, as they develop a civilization, they would have to have a little bit of a longer life cycle than that, or maybe some of them kind of don't mate as early, and so some of them may even not mate at all, and so they were kind of, for whatever reasons, kind of decide they want to be a kind of a guardian for their tribe, or maybe a representative warrior, and so they give their lives to power these shell constructs to protect their tribe, to or even fight evil, or be kind of like roaming Rodden warriors. That's kind of one problem I kind of had with developing the idea. But I kept always envisioning their mecha sort of being a kind of more Baroque styling of the Zhong from Universal Century Gundam. Sort of more melee ranged melee attacks, like using whips, or even extending a claws out, as using psychic powers and such. And I always kind of wanted to develop a larger story where the player characters would be kind of these they weren't never could establish no, that's what I want to. Basically, they could never win the right to mate with anyone in their tribe, so they decide to protect the tribe by becoming these, kind of dead spirit warriors, powering these machines. And the plot come on that there is a sort of another sort of squid octopus civilization that is kind of is more stationary, maybe actually maybe on a what is it, kind of like a smoker construct coming up from the center of the core. They need to kind of build around that, and they're building newer different types of weapons, but their ruler what they wanted to do was to kind of actually build machines that could go beyond the ice shell and see what exactly is out there. And part of our what I thought one of their defining myths would be for the entire species would be is that two of their gods may have decided they wanted to create life and bring it to the abyss. Seriously, the abyss that exists outside their their shell world, and so but the other gods kind of took exception to this and pursued them, killing maybe the husband, but the one maybe mother god captured one of the tears of her partner and kind of held it in her, or past part of her hands, and traveled further out into the abyss to protect the life that they both created out of her love to her partner. And so that's kind of where the idea for in the hands of a god, it came for the story title on that. That's pretty much about as far as I got the idea. I really was kind of hoping I could develop this. Unfortunately, I never was really good with kind of more fantasy settings like this. It's just some, I guess it's just a weakness on my part. But it was an idea that I wanted to hold on to. So, several years later, this is me kind of spilling my heart about it. But yeah, this is just kind of an example to everybody else that not every idea is a good one, or maybe an idea that you can develop. You may get the rocks rolling, but maybe you need someone else to help chisel the rock into a better shape. So anyway, I'm just throwing this out there as I did with the other scrap pile episodes. If you have any comments or discussions or whatever, leave a comment down below. Hit the like button. Again, please hit the subscribe button as well. And if you have any ideas or maybe other subjects for discussion, again, leave it down below. And we'll catch you all next time. Bye.